Oswald Theodore Avery was born October 21st, 1877, in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. Oswald Avery's parents were Joseph Francis Avery and Elizabeth Crowdy, who were from Britain originally and came to Canada. Oswald's dad was a Baptist minister who had 3 sons, and Oswald was the second. When Oswald was 10, his family moved from Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, to New York, USA. In New York, it was overcrowded and there was a lot of social problems, which would be a hard place to live. When Oswald was young, he enjoyed playing music with his eldest brother, Ernest. At 15, he suffered a traumatic experience where his brother Ernest died and father also died of a kidney disease. At Colgate University, Oswald only took compulsory science courses and graduated with a bachelor's degree in humanities. Oswald had an interesting path into the Rockefeller Institute. He went to Columbia University College of Physicians and Surgeons in New York in 1900 and graduated in 1904 and continued into medical practices. Avery was then a family doctor, but had gotten frustrated by incurable diseases. This is when he decided that he would become a microbiologist. He published multiple papers and at the age of 36 joined the Rockefeller Institute, where he focused on pneumonia bacteria.
Before Oswald T. Avery, people believed that genes and/or proteins excreted hereditary and generated enzymes for metabolic functions. But in 1944, Oswald T. Avery produced an article that said it was actually deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA for short, that did that. For Oswald T. Avery to discover this, he had to do a bunch of different experiments. One of them was with a bacteria called Pneumococcus. He worked with this material for many years. So when he was doing the studies with this bacteria, he injected mice with a harmless and with a lethal version of the drug. Surprisingly, the results of that experiment ended with all of the mice dying. Using what he found from the experiment with the mice, the bacteria killed either way. So the question that was posed after he saw this was, how did the non-lethal strain obtain the killer strain to kill the mice? Well, to figure that out, he had to look at the protective casings of the bacteria. So the non-lethal had a rough casing, which caused the immune system to attack it, while the lethal version had an S, or smooth shell, which I call S for short, and it slid by the immune system easily, completely unnoticed. And all it took for the rough one, or the non-lethal, to obtain a lethal form was it just had to be combined with the S form, the lethal form. Which then later he figured that all out using test tubes instead of actually needing the mice. So he killed off those mice unnecessarily. So leading into that, him, together with 2 other people, he took 20 gallons of bacteria to find the transforming factor, is what he called it. It took Avery a while to publicize his findings after doing that experiment. So after 4 years in 1944, he explained to the world that he discovered DNA. When he explained this, he notified what he found in an article that was published in a paper in a journal actually, called the Journal of Experimental Medicine. So Oswald T. Avery, throughout all his different studies, he discovered that DNA was actually the instruction manual on how to keep a human alive.
After Oswald Avery discovered that DNA is a genetic material, he moved to Nashville to be closer to his younger brother Roy at the age of 71. Oswald T. Avery died February 20th, 1955 in Nashville, Tennessee, USA, at the ripe age of 78. Oswald Theodore Avery lived for his work and never was the one for love and did not have kids. But all's well that ends well.